What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
You guys ever heard the analogy that Hitler drank water, so water makes you a Nazi? Or Hitler had a dog, so dog owners are Nazis?
And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race.
Tylenol usage is up. The diagnosed cases of autism are up. So they must be the same. They must be linked. Causation, not correlation.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Uh-oh. Welcome, everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Welcome, everybody. It's about time you got here. No more Tylenol. No more Tylenol. Gone, done, over with. Can't have it. Can't be part of it, okay? Donald Trump announced today at Charlie Kirk's funeral that they think they found the cause for high autism rates. Now, I don't think the autism rates are nearly what they fucking are claiming they are. So like, we got better at diagnosing autism. We removed the stigma away from it, so more people came forward, right? It's much broader a spectrum now than it ever was before. So I don't think that when they say these things like, it used to be 1 in 10,000, now it's 1 in 20. That doesn't mean that our autism rates are going up. That means that more people are diagnosed. It's doctors know about it, right? Doctors are diagnosing more people. Less people are worried about coming forward when they think something's wrong because we destigmatized it. And autism as a spectrum is much broader, right? When they used to diagnose your kid with a random shit, right? Or that's just a boy being a boy, or he's really into trains, or whatever, right? Now we have diagnosis for it. And any mental health, I'm not an expert. I would venture to say that any broad mental health group like that, like depression, is probably way, way, way more often diagnosed now than it was 50 years ago or whatever, right? Let me grab the clip first. Hold on.
I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism. And tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcement, really medically, I think.
I want to remind you, this is a funeral. This is Kirk's memorial service.
I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism. And tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcement.
Now Trump knows Trump only has rally Trump. That's the only Trump that exists, right? Either he's catering to his audience and they're screaming for rally Trump, like here, or he's talking in front of the press and they don't buy his bullshit, so he gets mad at them and calls them all liars and fake news. But all he has is rally Trump. So how is he going to tie this back to the memorial with Charlie Kirk? Oh, by the way, Charlie Kirk would have loved this announcement.
Really, medically, I think in the history of our country, we're going to be
Stephen Miller made it more political than anybody else.
doing it with Bobby and Oz and all of the professionals. I think you're going to find it to be amazing. I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking in the Oval Office in the White House.
The more he comes up with these nonsensical things to grab onto and like pump up and claim and making up countries that don't even exist and stopping wars that they've not been in because they don't exist, the more I think the Epstein files must be so bad for him.
About autism, how it happens, so we won't let it happen anymore, and how to get at least somewhat better when you have it so that parents can help their child, their beautiful child.
So not only prevent it, but a treatment for it,
It's a big one.
allegedly.
I've been bugging everybody over there, get the answer to that. You know, 20 years ago, 1 in 10,000 were born with autism. 20 years ago, the most recent survey says 1 in 12. How bad is that?
I hate to tell you, 20 years ago, people were taking Tylenol while pregnant. Acetaminophen has been around forever.
That's for young boys, baby boys, but also girls a little bit better. It's about 1 in 20.
Currently, in 2020, which was 25 years ago, it was 1 in 150. Now it's 1 in 36 children.
1 in 12. You know, 20 years ago, 1 in 10,000 were born with
Autism rates in the U.S. have increased significantly within the prevalence, rising from about 1 in 150 in 2000. That's 25 years ago, not 20, okay? To approximately 1 in 36 in 2020.
autism.
So he's lying about the numbers right off the bat.
Years ago, the most recent survey says 1 in 12. How bad is that? That's for young boys, baby boys, but also girls a little bit better. It's about 1 in 20. What we can't is obviously there was something really wrong. And
Even if you break that down, boys and girls, that's not going to be accurate because 1 in 6 and 1 in 20 can't average out to 1 in 36.
we think we know what that is. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the most important news conferences I'll ever have. And I look so forward to it. And you know who else looked forward to it? Because he knew. I tell him a little bit about what
Here we
was
go.
going on with
Here's the tie.
Charlie. He would have been front row center, believe me.
He did say 1 in 10 on Air Force One. Oh, I need to tie this back into the funeral we're at. Charlie would have loved this, by the way. So immediately, reporters call their sources. And of course, somebody's going to leak it. President Donald Trump plans to announce Monday that using Tylenol during pregnancy could contribute to autism risk and will advise pregnant women only to use it or generic acetaminophen for high fevers, 2 senior administration officials told Politico. 2 different officials. The officials were granted anonymity to share details of the announcement in advance, said Trump would also highlight, I'm going to fuck this up, Leucovorin, 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 a cancer and anemia drug as potential therapy for people with autism. On Friday, Trump said he would have a big announcement on the neurological condition soon. Autism is totally out of control, he told reporters. I think we maybe have a reason why. In a statement Sunday, White House press spokesperson Kush Desai said the announcement will make historic progress in addressing rising autism rates. Finding the condition's cause is a major priority of Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who promised earlier this year to have some answers in September. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported this spring that 1 in 31 American 8-year-olds was diagnosed with the condition in 2022, compared to 1 in 150 in 2020. Still, his numbers are insane. 1 in 6,000. 1 in 6,000 versus 1 in 31. It's technically not in babies because they can't really diagnose it until they're later in life. So they usually use somewhere around 8 to 10 years old. The announcement would mark the first time the government has linked acetaminophen and autism. Kennedy believes environmental factors are causing the rise in autism cases. Despite ample evidence to the contrary, he suspects vaccines are involved, while many public health experts believe it's because of changing diagnostic criteria and more attention to the condition. It's very broad, right? Autism manifests itself across the spectrum, with some experiencing severe symptoms and others mild ones. It can affect social communications. It may even be too broad. I don't know how to put this. I think I've already told the mods. I know I've already told Mariah. I fail autism tests. I'm not saying I'm autistic. I'm not saying that. I fail every autism test. One night I was just curious about this test that's being talked about on TikTok, and I took probably 150 of them. Well, I took 2 and I failed them both as being autistic, and I probably took 150 of them, failed every one of them. It may be too broad, but I don't think the problem is Tylenol. He suspects vaccines are involved, while many public health experts believe it's because of diagnostic criteria and more attention to the condition. Autism manifests itself across the spectrum, with some experiencing severe symptoms and others mild ones. It can affect social communications, cause repetitive behaviors, and impact language development. I have the social communications and repetitive behaviors. I don't think that I had any problem in language development, as far as I know. Like, I was always in like advanced classes, like the gifted classes or whatever. I wasn't in any remedial stuff. How long is the shortest test? There's one of them that probably takes like 20 minutes to take or something. I can't remember the names of them, but there's all these different tests that are usually named after their creator or whatever. And it's a range too. Like one of them, I was freaked out about it. I was freaked out that I failed it. So I had Liam and Mariah both take it, and a couple other people that are not family members. And it's a range. So like if you get like 1 to 5, then you need further testing. And if you get like 5 to 10, then you're probably in like like a mediocre group. And then if you get 10 or above, the one I took was called, I just thought of it. The one I took is Q Idiot might know what the name of it is. They show you the first one I took, they show you people's eyes. And it's a multiple choice. And from their eye, just their eyes, it's just a square of just their eyes, no mouth, no nose. It's just this part of their face. You're supposed to guess, or know, I guess, what emotion they are feeling at the time. And I thought I would be cheeky and take the test twice. So I took the test once and I failed it horribly. I think I got like 1 right and I didn't even know the fucking word that I picked. And then I thought I would be cheeky and take it again. And I took it again and got like 11 of them out of like 30 right. And then I went back and read the grading criteria, and it said that typically you'll fall in this first category if you're autistic. And then if not, if you happen to fall in this second category where you got around 10 of them right, then it's usually credited to you memorizing the answers. So like even when I went back and cheated, I cheated in a way that people that are autistic that fail this test say that they cheated. That they've memorized certain like lines around the eyes or like the impression of the eyes or the direction they're looking. Even though I cheated the way an autistic person would have cheated if they would have passed it. So it really freaked me out one night. Anyways, Tylenol along with generic acetaminophen is the most commonly used drug for pain relief and fever reduction in pregnant women who are already advised not to use Advil or generic ibuprofen because of the risk of miscarriage or birth defects. Kennedy and other senior leaders from the government's health agencies are expected to participate in the announcement. One of the senior administration officials said, adding that officials were divided about the handling of the autism issue and that Kennedy, even though he believes there might be a link between acetaminophen use by pregnant women and autism, had been reluctant to warn the public. So again, when Trump says, I've been calling these guys, I've been telling them they got to do this, so what happens is, even though RFK wants to blame it on vaccines and less about Tylenol, Trump's pressuring him to come up with something. And again, every time they do this, it makes me think, God damn, how bad are the Epstein files? Like, how many distractions do you need? The administration is still preparing a broader autism initiative. About a dozen working groups are slated to examine about 30 hypotheses about potential causes. A literature review intended to underpin that work isn't finished and won't be released Monday. So even the documentation or whatever they're going to cite here is not ready to go, and it won't be released. When Kennedy said he would have answers about autism's cause by September, researchers who work on the condition said it would be unrealistic. By summer, the National Institutes of Health, which Kennedy tasked with carrying out the search for the cause, had already pushed back expectations, saying new grants would be awarded and work would begin in September, with updates likely next year. The Wall Street Journal reported earlier this month that the Department of Health and Human Services planned to link autism to Tylenol use in pregnancy and to deficiencies in some women in folates, a vitamin, and the HHS might point to leucovorin as therapy in some cases. Specifically, the newspaper reported that the administration planned to publish these claims in an unspecified report. Such a report does not, however, currently exist, one of the officials told Politico. Last month, a review of existing research published by the journal BMC Environmental Health and co-authored by the Dean of Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Dr. Andrea Baccarelli, I think that's how you say it, linked acetaminophen to autism and advised that appropriate and immediate steps should be taken to advise pregnant women to limit acetaminophen consumption to protect their offspring's neurodevelopment. The review, however, did not go so far as to say women should not use it except when they have high fevers. We recommend judicious acetaminophen use, lowest effective dose, and shortest duration under medical guidance tailored to individual risk-benefit assessments rather than a broad limitation, they wrote. Last week, Kirk Perry, interim CEO of Tylenol maker Kenvue, privately urged Kennedy not to cite Tylenol as a cause, according to the Wall Street Journal. Kenvue, which was spun out of Johnson & Johnson in 2023, counts Tylenol among its top leading brands. In a statement, a company spokesperson told Politico it strongly disagreed with any suggestion linking Tylenol to autism and said that discouraging women from using Tylenol would force them to make dangerous choices between enduring pain that could be harmful to them or their babies and taking riskier painkillers. The facts are that over a decade of rigorous research endorsed by leading medical professionals and global health regulators confirms there is no credible evidence linking acetaminophen to autism, the spokesperson said. We stand with the many public health and medical professionals who have reviewed this science and agree we will continue to explore all options to protect the health interests of American women and children. Major medical groups still recommend acetaminophen during pregnancy. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists say there is no clear evidence that prudent use causes fetal development issues and cautions against leaving maternal fever or pain untreated. Studies show Tylenol use and autism have relied on observational data showing association, but definitely not definitive causation. Or concluded there's no connection. That's where we're at. Let's do this. While we're on the topic of Kirk's funeral, let's do Himmler, Stephen Himmler at Kirk's funeral.
The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wicked.
Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering, the rapture is Tuesday. I don't know that the fake Christians, the Christian nationalists, are going to be raptured. But either way, big day.
Against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness. You are jealousy. You are envy. You are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity.
Which side was spreading the hate and vitriol and division? Who is that?
You are nothing. You are wickedness. You are
God, I wish somebody would translate this. Use AI to put this in German.
jealousy. You are envy. You are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. The light will defeat the dark. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the force. You are nothing. The light will defeat the dark. We risen in all of us. You have nothing. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy. And we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us.
I don't even think he believes it. I think he knows, he's figured out how easy it is to manipulate those that do believe it.
No idea. The dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic.
You have no idea. And then I thought this was Trump just being retarded, I guess. He tweets out like himself in the third person and like weird conversations he's had, but then he deleted this pretty fucking quick on his Truth Social. I think he meant to send this into a private message. It is a message between him and Pam Bondi, and he accidentally posted it to his Truth Social page.
In a remarkable social media post, Donald Trump has just ordered the Attorney General to jail a U.S. senator and other political opponents. Trump wrote this, what appears to be a direct message, a private message to Pam Bondi, his Attorney General, but Trump messed up and posted the message publicly on his Truth Social social media platform, and then immediately deleted it, but not before Politico and other media grabbed the message. I'm going to read this tweet to you. It is shocking. It is authoritarian. It is dictatorial. It is un-American. It is supremely illegal, and it is one of the worst things we have.
Even Ted Cruz came out about the FCC guy threatening ABC stations, and then Jimmy Kimmel getting fired, by the way.
Seen in my lifetime, possibly the worst that a president has ever done, let alone decades before that. Let me walk you through the tweet. Pam, Attorney General, I reviewed over 30 statements and posts online saying that essentially he's complaining about people online saying, what are you doing, Trump? Why aren't you jailing your political opponents? Why didn't you throw the U.S. senator in jail? Same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Trump's former FBI director who he wants in prison for investigating Trump-Russia? Adam Shifty Schiff, a United States senator who Trump doesn't like for investigating Trump-Russia. Letitia James, Attorney General of New York State, who Trump doesn't like for prosecuting his crimes, including the Stormy Daniels. They're all guilty as hell, but nothing's being done. Then he talks about this local Virginia, basically one of his officials in Virginia who wouldn't file charges against the Attorney General.
Said there's no case. There's not enough evidence to make a case against Letitia James, but he fires him and puts somebody there that will.
Of New York because there was no evidence. And the person investigated and couldn't find evidence of a crime. Trump wanted them to file a crime anyway and just fired them because they're not filing bogus criminal charges. So then he concludes, we can't delay any longer. He's talking about filing criminal charges against...
I hope it is the fucking rapture. It's been feeling too crowded around here anyways.
The senator and others. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. He wants criminal charges against his political opponents because it's making him look bad if they don't go to jail. Folks, they impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times. They indicted him 94 times, actually. Over nothing. Justice must be served now. He's ordering his Attorney General to file criminal charges against a United States Senator, his former...
Why is he ordering her? Or at least the reason he says here is that in his comments, people are saying same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey? What about his comments are mean to him, saying he isn't putting these people in jail like he promised on the campaign trail. And now he's directing her towards action.
Former FBI director and other political enemies of his because it's making him look bad that his enemies aren't going to jail. This is so outrageous. This is so illegal. This is what Disney enabled, what ABC enabled. This is what people, guys, so freaking dangerous. I am apoplectic as to how dangerous the situation is right now. He screwed up by publishing this publicly, except it's not much different from what he says privately. This is illegal. It is criminal. It is dictatorial. It is what they do in Russia. It is what they do in China. It is what...
At least other presidencies seem to hold a wall between the president and the Department of Justice.
What you don't do in America, but it is what we do in America now under Donald Trump. This is absolutely North Korea style, Soviet style, communist China style. It is un-American. It is illegal, and this has to stop. We have got to stand up to this guy.
Speaking of Disney, while we're on the topic of Disney, Disney did come out with some new ideas for more Trump-friendly movies, and here's that.
Pocahontas dies, white people rob her gold and live happily ever after. Okay, do they at least get a casino? They find Nemo, but we use it as a segue to bring back the word retard. Okay, we think that's necessary, do we? Aladdin is sent to Alligator Alcatraz after being accused of assaulting the princess, then he's deported back to Agrabah. But he's already in Agrabah? Sorry, do you want me to shut down this company or not? Nope, sorry, deported. Princess Elsa quickly settles down and only uses her powers to freeze her cooking to stop it from going bad. Food not going to waste, that's a good message. She then realizes her only purpose is to give birth and has 7 children. We see that in the cartoon. Yes, okay. Moana's boat is hit with rockets because she's actually Tren de Aragua. Must be a short film. Snow White lives alone forever as the dwarves are actually 7 useless DEI hires. I mean, 7 was too many anyway. The Beast looks like that because his parents had him vaccinated and fed him Red 40 food dye. Beauty and the Vaccinated Beast. And lastly, the Jedi are destroyed and the Empire rule the galaxy under Darth Trumpius. Oh, so what is that one? A documentary? Do you have any questions about the changes you need to make? Just one. What should we do with the movie Soul? You really don't know what to do with a predominantly black cast? No, of course I do. Make white.
That's pretty funny. That guy's got some funny skits. Here is more about the Attorney General in Virginia being fired.
George, this is a major escalation of the president's effort to get retribution against his political rivals. ABC News has learned that President Trump is expected to fire a top federal prosecutor for failing to file criminal charges against Letitia James, somebody who is obviously very high on the president's enemies list. The prosecutor is
Come out with job numbers we don't like, you're fired. Won't prosecute the people he asked you to prosecute, you're fired.
Eric Siebert. He is the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, arguably the most important U.S. Attorney's office in the country, responsible for the bulk of counterterrorism and espionage cases. And his office has been investigating James for 5 months on allegations of mortgage fraud that have been brought by the administration. He found no evidence to go forward with the prosecution, declined to do so, and now we are told that he will be fired. ABC News has learned that the president intends to put somebody else in the U.S. Attorney's office who will more aggressively prosecute the New York Attorney General.
Who are they putting in? I don't know what this is, but you can watch it while I
Little League pitcher who shook off his catcher and then proceeded to give up a home run on the next pitch. This is Michael Mancini, and 8 years ago, he went viral when he smirked before giving up a home run. Back in 2016, Michael was pitching in a Little League World Series game against a team from Maryland. In the first inning, Michael received a pitch call from his catcher that he instantly shook off with a smirk on his face. His next pitch would be crushed by the batter, hitting a home run to give Maryland a first inning lead. Michael,
that's funny. I clicked on this video by accident, but that is funny.
Actually win this game and even go on to win the entire Little League World Series, finishing undefeated with a 24-0 record on the season. Michael would go on to be...
The job numbers are going to be exactly the same. So they didn't... I know that you're talking what Trump said, but they're not screwed up. They have to be revised. Right? They have 30 days to get them in, then 60 days, then 90 days. There's 3 different deadlines.
Become the 56th ranked baseball player in New York, eventually committing to James Madison in 2021 to continue his career. This past season as a sophomore, Michael finished with a .329 batting average, 49 RBIs, and 15 home runs. Most recently, Michael announced he'll be transferring to play for Vanderbilt in the 2025 season.
It's a good school. That's a funny video. I want to find, I forget her name, but Trump's, the female lawyer from Florida that came on during some of Trump's cases. I'll find it over here.
Maybe one of his most deranged posts yet. I know that is saying a lot, but when you see it, you will understand. He is pressuring, urging his Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute his political enemies because attorneys like the attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia have refused.
U.S. Attorney. I said Attorney General earlier, but it was U.S. Attorney.
Like Letitia James because they did not commit any crimes. Let me show you what Trump just...
Lindsay Halligan. Lindsay Halligan is... She would never, ever, 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 ever be a U.S. attorney under another republic. She just doesn't have the experience. She doesn't have the time in. She hasn't handled these types of cases. She's a nobody. But she came in and helped Trump when the Mar-a-Lago stuff was going on and no other lawyers wanted to touch it. All those lawyers are being repaid now. The ones that are like, I'm not going to fucking touch that. Sounds like he's goddamn guilty, right? None of them are going to be remembered. They're probably going to be prosecuted. Everybody that jumped in and said, I'll do it. You know, if you're paying enough, I'll do it. They're all being put in these positions now.
Trump wrote, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, same old story as last time, all talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell.
She's a lawyer that did residential and commercial insurance claims. She did insurance claims. She went to University of Miami School of Law. Not hating on University of Miami, but typically these people come from like Harvard and places like that. But she went to Miami. Still, you can be an attorney from there. Obviously, you can be a U.S. attorney from there. But she handled insurance claims. Since 2013. I think she graduated in 2013. The very next year, she works at a place in Fort Lauderdale doing insurance claims. And now she's going to be the U.S. attorney in Northern Virginia.
But nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never...
By the way, the guy has never been called a rhino. He's never been called woke. Siebert, I think's the guy's name, the one that he's running out. No one's ever had an issue with him. No one's ever called him woke. No one's ever called him Antifa. No one's ever called him anything until he tells Trump there is not enough, there's no evidence to prosecute Letitia James. Then suddenly, he says that he's stepping down because there's so much pressure on him to prosecute Letitia James and there's no case. And then Trump says he didn't step down. We fired him. We fired him because he's a woke rhino and won't do my bidding, basically.
Going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard.
2 days ago, he told staff he would be resigning because of the pressure from the White House, and there's no case there. He can't bring a case if there's no case. He's not a yes man. And then not hours later, Trump said he didn't step down. We fired him.
Even lied to the media and said he... What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him, and there is a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now, President DJT. This is so brazenly corrupt. It is clearly an impeachable offense. And I just want you to imagine if this was uncovered in like a leaked email or something and published in the New York Times, how much bigger of a story this would feel. Yet Donald Trump just posts this on his social media app and people go on with their day as if it's nothing. It's unacceptable. The fact that the Republican Party is enabling this behavior is unacceptable. The fact that the people around Donald Trump are enabling this lawless behavior is unacceptable. And it's time for people to stand up. We're going to keep following all the news, so remember to follow along and listen to the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for more. So Trump just made...
Trump claims that he found out that 2 senators from Virginia who are Democrats voted for him for like basically his confirmation to be U.S. attorney. And he says, when I found that out, then I knew that I didn't want him there. He's a woke leftist, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. After investigators could not find sufficient evidence to indict Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, for mortgage fraud. That's why he's being fired. Let's see. Can we find Lindsay Halligan? Halligan, Halligan. There she is.
The fact that we had our country was involved in slavery is awful. No one thinks otherwise. But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery, and I think there should be more of an
They've all got the Mar-a-Lago face, right? Very plastic, very, very plastic surgery, very, very high cheekbones, very tucked chins and neck. They've all got the same face.
Overemphasis on how far we've come since slavery. Our country is a country of progress, and it's the greatest country in the world, and we should be able to take our kids, our students through the Smithsonian and feel proud when we leave.
This ruling seems to be entirely based on the judge's review of some property.
I wouldn't say Barbies that have been too close to the fire, maybe. Like they've melted a little bit.
Appraiser document without hearing any witness testimony. That seems to be what he decided. This case in particular, this is just my opinion, should be televised. I think the judge is controlling the narrative by allowing cameras in the courtroom so he can rip his glasses off and smile like a creepy clown to the camera before the proceedings actually start. But eyes don't.
Again, yes, she's a lawyer. I am not. She's an insurance claims lawyer.
Don't lie. It's better, in my opinion, for Americans to be able to watch this trial and make their own determination, and that goes to the heart of what we think what's going to be happening shortly after this case is that this case will be appealed. Christopher Kise is.
I think he hires people on the way they look. To be honest with you, how willing are they to agree to everything and worship him and say, "Oh my God, I love you. I'll do anything." Blah blah blah. Right, and how they look, and so we're in 2025 right now. She handled her first case ever. Her first federal level case ever was the Mar-a-Lago case. And in 2025, there you go. She's going to be the U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Virginia.
Is a very good appellate attorney. He's in the.
It's just his personal attorneys at this point that he nominates for everything. Let's get, while we're on the topic of lawyers, let's talk about more debts have been forgiven. For who? For me? For you?
Everybody.
Absolutely not. For billionaires who stole from us. Billionaires who committed fraud and stole from their employees, stole from the people they represented, stole from the little people below them by committing fraud, are being pardoned, and they no longer have to pay restitution to the people they stole the money from.
Remember how I told you that Donald Trump has forgiven over $1 billion?
This has been going on since he's inaugurated. This is probably the 5th update.
$1 billion in debts owed by millionaires and billionaires convicted of crimes? Well, he just added another $800 million to that total. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. During the first months of his presidency, Trump granted clemency to dozens of people convicted of crimes involving fraud, meaning cheating other people out of money. Under federal law, those convicted of fraud are required to repay the money that they stole from their victims. But not so for those who Trump pardoned. Donald Trump's pardons had the legal effect of wiping out the obligation to repay the money. In total,
there's no restitution once you get a pardon.
Donald Trump's pardons have wiped out over $1.3 billion in debts owed by wealthy Americans to taxpayers and victims of crime.
This Paul Wyzak, or however you say it, he stole it from his employees that were doctors and nurses and hospital staff. There's Julie and Todd Chrisley on there. There's a bunch.
Crime. These are the receipts that I've showed you previously. Now, Trump has gone a step further. This week, the Securities and Exchange Commission abandoned civil enforcement actions against 3 of Trump's.
And this all comes on the tail of the FBI did a sting operation against, the border czar, Tom Homan. The FBI has a videotaped sting operation of 2 guys that approached Tom Homan that were FBI agents under the guise that they were federal contractors and paid him $50,000 cash for federal contracts once Trump was back in office and he was made border czar. They have the FBI agents. It's videotaped. It's on video of them giving him $50,000, and he tells them they will have contracts later in the Trump administration related to immigration. And the current Trump administration decided to drop the case.
Wealthiest pardon recipients. The SEC is a government agency responsible for protecting investors by filing civil lawsuits against those who commit fraud. But now, under the leadership of a Trump appointee named Paul Atkins, the SEC is walking away from those efforts to protect victims of fraud. Here are the 3 lucky beneficiaries of Trump's generosity. The first is Trevor Milton. Milton was convicted of defrauding investors in his electric car company out of over $600 million.
Surely not.
After he donated millions to Trump and hired Brad Bondi, the brother of Attorney General Pam Bondi, to represent him. Next is Carlos.
That's all you got to do is hire Pam Bondi's brother? Oh, shit. What did I do?
Oh, yeah.
I clicked on a live stream or some shit.
Hey, everybody. Remember how I told you that Donald Trump has forgiven...
I'll get it to work eventually.
Hey, wiping out the obligation dollars in debts. This week, the Securities and Exchange 3 of Trump's wealthiest pardon recipients by filing civil lawsuits against the Paul Atkins, the SEC is walking away from those efforts to protect victims of fraud. Here are the 3 lucky beneficiaries of Trump's generosity. The first is Trevor Milton. Milton was convicted of defrauding investors in his electric car company out of over $600 million. Milton got a pardon after he donated millions to...
So the Biden administration, the reason they didn't pursue it is they were waiting. Basically, they decided it'd be good to wait and see if those favors ever came to fruition. Right? Like, will he go back to these people and be like, I got you a contract?
Trump and hired Brad Bondi, the brother of Attorney General Pam Bondi, to represent him. Next is Carlos Watson, who cheated investors.
That's right. There's not enough evidence. It doesn't matter. God damn it, I did it again. It doesn't matter if he admits it on tape. There's never enough evidence.
Hey, everybody. Remember how I told you that the leadership of a Trump appointee named Paul... The first is Trevor Milton. Milton was convicted of defrauding investors in his electric car company out of over $600...
That's Nikola.
Milton got a pardon
the Nikola Corporation.
Trump and hired Brad Bondi, the brother of Attorney General Pam.
By the way, he was never even a Trump guy. Never, ever, 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 ever made a political statement about Trump. And when Trump pardoned him, Trump said in his speech, here he was only prosecuted because he said, I like Trump. He's never said that, ever.
Pam Bondi to represent him. Next is Carlos Watson, who cheated investors in his media company and owed about $97 million. Watson leveraged connections to Trump, including paying $1 million to a well-connected attorney. And finally, Devin Archer, who stole money from workers' pension funds and a Native American tribe.
That middle one, the Watson one, is that Aussie Media. He's a co-founder of that.
Archer owed about $60 million in penalties. He received a full pardon after he agreed to assist members of Congress who were investigating Hunter Biden. These 3 could have been on the hook for over $800 million, but instead, they're walking away scot-free thanks to Donald Trump. In total, adding up the criminal penalties and the...
Devin Archer was such a piece of shit. He went and defrauded a Native American tribe. He made up fake bonds, fake worthless bonds, and sold them to a Native American tribe.
Potential civil penalties that Trump has forgiven, the amount is over $2 billion. But definitely don't ask Donald Trump to forgive your student loans.
No, that'd be too far. Way too far.
There are reports coming out right now that the Pentagon is saying they're going to revoke the press credentials of reporters that are reporting on things that they did not explicitly get permission from the Pentagon to report on beforehand. And this applies to things like unclassified information, things that historically they've been able to report on, no problem. This is a massive escalation in the crackdown on the free press, like, make no mistake. But also a lot of the coverage I'm seeing, I think, is leaving out information that the general public doesn't understand, which is what are press credentials, because they're kind of making it sound like if you upset the Pentagon, you're no longer allowed to be a reporter. You're no longer allowed to report on the news. Press credentials are not a license that you get. It's not like becoming an engineer or something like that. Press credentials are granted by organizations to give you access to that organization. So the Pentagon grants press credentials to reporters or people that they deem press, and it gives them access to different parts of the building, different people within the organization. That's what press credentials are. So they're saying if you're reporting on things that we didn't give you permission to report on, we're no longer going to give you access to the Pentagon. Still a huge escalation. That is a really big problem. But also I think that a lot of people don't actually understand what that means. It's also worth noting that there are no legal repercussions here for you or I.
It's insane that you have to have pre-released press statements is the only thing you report about on the DOD. That's fucking insane. I thought this was a beautiful moment. I don't know if any of you other guys saw this or not. Uh-oh, did it freeze? Hold on. Out in Glendale. We can have a moment of silence if we need to. The $200,000 check from basically James and Sarah Biden, that's been around since, what was it, 2023 or something? It's already been investigated. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much more they think they can investigate it, but go for it. If they had wrongdoing, look how long they spent trying to pulling everybody's bank records, letting everybody discuss it in private. Look how long they had, and they couldn't come up with a single fucking charge. They couldn't do a single fucking thing that whole time. I'm all for it. If there was some corruption there, prosecute it. Go for it. If there's evidence and you get a conviction, put them in fucking jail. There just isn't, right? There's rhetoric. There's, oh my God, is this a thing again? But that's about it. They did it for years and years and years and years when they had control of Congress. They did it and 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 nothing ever came of it. So.
It was a really short White House briefing. See if you blinked and you missed it, or just you were following other things going on. I don't blame you. But even in that short span of time, there were some pretty out there questions from some of the right-wing characters this White House has invited to have a daily presence in the briefing room. So I thought I'd take another crack at answering some of them. All right. Let's start with Emily Gooden from the Daily Mail. Why not?
Okay.
I wanted to ask about this report that the president wants to host a G20 meeting at Trump Durrell. How is he going to do that, considering all the preparations that have been going on in South Africa? And also, would that be seen as his businesses possibly profiting from hosting this kind of meeting?
Would that be seen as his businesses possibly profiting? Yes, Emily, of course it would be. Now remember, President Trump tried to pull this before back in 2019. He wanted to host a G7 summit at his Darrell property. But there was so much pushback from both Democrats and Republicans back then, it was even bipartisan, that he was forced to abandon those plans. And this term, though, his presidency is even more guided by how he can profit than the last time around. And people are not really checking him. I don't know if you've noticed. I mean, according to Bloomberg, since the start of the 2024 election, the Trump brand has driven more than $10 billion in worldwide real estate projects. Just to give.
Already, since the early days of his re-election campaign, the Trump name has powered more than $10 billion of personal real estate projects.
You a sense of what they've been doing. And there doesn't really seem to be any checks on that anywhere. Again, nowhere. Okay, who's up next? Jennifer Jacobs from CBS News. What do you got?
How much of the East Wing will be torn down? The entire East Wing or just parts of it?
All right, that may sound an out there question if you haven't been following this, but for those just catching up, what Jennifer's referencing is the $200 million plan to renovate the East Wing into an enormous and, dare I say, tacky ballroom. And even though those renovations will supposedly be funded by generous donations, not taxpayer dollars, I would really like to see those receipts, by the way, as I'm sure you would. Even though that, it's still, that's what they're talking about today. And let's just take a step back and remember what's happening today. The president is failing to separate himself from a notorious child predator named Jeffrey Epstein, won't rule out pardoning his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. Famine has all but been declared in Gaza, and somehow Trump appears to be preoccupied with interior decorating. So there's that.
Even when Charlie Kirk got shot down, the question they asked him, they're like, very sorry for your close friend Charlie Kirk passed away. How are you feeling? I'm fine. You see those trucks back there? That's construction on the ballroom.
Has served presidents well for decades. It has incredible history. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I guess that's what he's focusing his time on right now. Okay, next, Joey Garrison at USA Today. Go ahead.
What did Treasury Secretary Bassett mean yesterday when he called the new Trump accounts for newborns a, quote, backdoor to privatizing Social Security? Does the administration view this?
This has been a huge secret goal of politicians forever, to privatize Social Security. And Scott Bessent came out and said that Trump's baby bonds thing is a secret backdoor to privatize Social Security.
New Trump accounts as a way to, in the long term, perhaps privatize Social Security.
Well, Joey, I think you answered the question for yourself there. Again, here's the literal quote from Scott Bessent yesterday. Quote, in a way, it is a backdoor for privatizing Social Security. I don't think it could be any more clear. The truth is he's really just saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, privatizing Social Security has been a long-stated goal of the Republican Party, many in the Republican Party. And Bessent, who, I mean, the man has competition, but there are a few people more disconnected from the American.
Yeah, I hate how Trump does everything. The gold leaf, the gold everywhere. I hate it.
People. He's just saying what others have been planning in private, which isn't exactly comforting, but that's what it was all about. Okay, we have time for one more. Kelly Wright from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Go ahead.
As you know, a lot of deportations have been going on. ICE has been going after violent criminals that are here illegally, and rightly so. In the midst of that, there are some evangelical pastors who are stating that it may have gone to a point of being indiscriminate and actually getting innocent people, like members of the clergy. Has the president and has ICE looked at that to see how they can actually go after those violent criminals, but also make sure...
Violent criminals? You're also picking up members of the clergy? Yeah, same thing.
That members of the clergy are still not...
Trump says they've been begging for it. Every president since Lincoln has said, man, we need a ballroom. We can't keep using a tent. Okay.
Ellie, I mean, I know the Trump administration has said repeatedly that their immigration raids are prioritizing violent criminals, but that is just not the truth. I mean, the pastor you're alluding to, Daniel Fuentes Espinal, was arrested in Maryland for overstaying his visa. He is not a violent criminal. He is a father and a community leader. But the overwhelming majority of innocent people who have no criminal records, over 70% of them, people detained by ICE, have no criminal record at all. Most of them are not clergy. We should care about them and ask about them too.
What is this third term talk?
The president and his allies have sometimes talked about maybe he should have an illegal third term. Then they've said maybe not. We've seen this back and forth. I want to just play so everyone's on the same page. Some of what we've heard.
President Trump will run and win again in 2028. How do you think he gets?
I think he might not even finish a second term. I think after midterms, there might be a big push for J.D. Vance to step in.
Another term. We're working on it.
We have almost 4 years to go, and that's a long
cut. But despite that, so many people are saying, you've got to run again.
I have never had requests so strong as that, but it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do.
The chief executive is limited in his role with regard to elections, except that where there is a threat to the national sovereignty of the United States, I think maybe the president is thinking that he will exercise some emergency powers to protect the federal elections going forward.
You worked on part of Trump's effort in 2020. That's part of why we have the story.
Come on, Ari.
Now, I just showed you the president of the United States.
Come on. He's playing with you.
Okay, so if he's playing,
he may have a grand
and what
plan.
you did in 20,
he's the best chess master ever is, but he's also playing with you. Your head's exploding when this stuff happens.
Let me ask the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In 28,
sure.
Would you rule out joining any effort to pursue an illegal third term for Donald Trump?
Would I rule out?
Yeah, because you were involved in 20.
I don't do this. Look, Ari, the only thing that happened in the after the 2020 election is we tried to use a lawful exercise of the Electoral Count Act of 1887.
And we've discussed that on this very program. And you've got time.
Lawful.
The question on the table is, would you rule that out in 28?
Come on, you're getting trolled.
If I'm getting trolled, why can't you tell me no?
All you have to do is say, I wouldn't help. No. If he wants to run for third, no, I wouldn't do that.
Scenario. You said illegal.
Join
I'm not going to support anything illegal.
You're not going to support anything illegal.
I'm not going to support anything illegal.
And a third term is illegal.
I haven't done anything illegal. I went to prison for 4 months and didn't do anything illegal.
And a third term is illegal, so you wouldn't support a third term.
You answer your own question. As the boss says, let's see what happens.
They can't say it. They can't. They can't. They don't know if he's being honest or not. They have no idea. And then, why do you feel so poor? Why do we all feel so poor?
I think Donald Trump's economist, Stephen.
Oh, shit.
I think Donald Trump's economist, Stephen Moore, is wrong. But I can't prove it since Stephen Moore's work is based on unpublished data that just came out. I'll explain.
We have access to the some data that no one else does on what has happened month by month with median household income. This is based on unpublished Census Bureau data. It will be released sometime in the next 6 months, but we get an advanced look at it. And so I was telling the president in his first 5 months in office, starting in January through the end of June.
Basically, the data, they're claiming they have data that no one can see yet. The data that we do have has basically said since 2019 to 2024, income has remained the same. But inflation has not, right? The price of everything has went up. People that were in a pretty secure spot in 2019 are now making the same amount in 2024, but everything's gotten more expensive. But they claim with data that they can't share yet, that hasn't been published, that is preliminary data, that, oh, well, Americans are making a ton more just since Trump took office.
The average median household income adjusted for inflation for the average family in America is already up $1,174. That's an incredible number. Yeah. Just came out. Just came out. So
Just came out. He just said it's unpublished data that only they have access to. Just came out. So here's the graph. Notice it's saying there's an $1,100 inflation-adjusted increase in income since March. That's pretty big. And the graph says the source is...
You guys think you're making an extra $1,100 a month since Trump took office? Anybody? Same job, same everything. You're making $1,100 more a month. $1,174. An extra $14,000 a year since March.
Is the census monthly basic current population.
No, not since 2020. Since March of 2025.
Survey. As far as I can tell, the current population survey does not report household income, so I feel like it's going to be difficult to get this number from that survey. Here's the basic monthly current population survey from the census. You can look at the data dictionary. They do report family income.
I feel like we would have heard about it if people got a $15,000 a year raise in 6 months.
Which is different from
on average.
Household income. So household is one or more people living together in the same housing unit. Notice from the 2023 census report that household income is...
I was talking about the average from 2019 to 2024, where using this data, it basically says that you're making about the same, maybe like $50 or something difference. But inflation went up. In 2020, it was 1.2. I'm trying to remember. 2021, it was 4.6 or something like that. Then in 2022, that was the 8%. Then it went to 4%. Then it went to 2.9%. But wages haven't gone. But this graph specifically they're showing was March of 2025 to today, with data they can't give us because it's not ready to be published yet. People are making an extra $11.47 a month.
Lower than family income. Families are two or more people who are related. And I noticed Stephen Moore confuses family and household.
Average median household income.
Here's okay. Don't roll this out. Household and family can be drastically different. Okay. Let's say the economy is so fucking bad that more people are moving back, even though they're working full-time jobs, are moving back home or are combining, moving in with a relative, an aunt, an uncle, a sister, a brother, combining their families to become a household, and household incomes are going up because of that, right? Average household incomes are going up because of that.
Adjusted for inflation for the average family in America.
Household and family, nope. Anyway, the Census Monthly Current Population Survey does report family income, but it reports it in these buckets. So I don't think you can easily figure out an exact median, especially because bucket 16 is 150,000 plus. Anyway, we do have...
I know it's hard. A lot of people are just barely getting by. A lot of people don't have a safety net, right? They don't have a rainy day fund. They're just barely getting by. But employers are at the point where they will abuse you as long as they can, right? They're not just gonna raise wages because, right? They're not gonna say, we had a great year, so everybody's getting, this rate. As if they can keep low employees, they do. And the money gets funneled to the top.
Weekly earnings in this data set, which is what I'll be using. And unlike Stephen Moore, who just says source author's calculations, I went to his website, Unleash Prosperity, just to make sure he doesn't have more detail there. But even on his website, all it says under Get the Data is just author's calculations. So it's like author's calculations on unreleased data, but we're going to call it the Census Monthly Basic CPS, which is released for June 25. And there's
so they're saying it's from that study, but that study's released.
No explanation of how we figure out median income from this data, which doesn't have it. Okay, so here's my method. I'm going to download the basic monthly CPS release for July, and then I'm going to download it for January. And I'm going to read those files.
He's even giving him more grace there because he's going all the way back to January instead of March.
Like this, getting the weekly earnings code. And then I'm going to look at the median weekly earnings in January and see that the median, the 50th percentile, is 1,058 in January of 25. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports 1,192 for quarter one of 2025. So I feel like 1,058, it's close. We're within the same ballpark. That's median weekly earnings from the survey, from the census survey. And then I look at the same thing for July of 25, and I find it's 1,062. So that's a gain of $4, not accounting for inflation at all.
It's $4. They're claiming $11.72 per month. And the data set that they're claiming this came from actually shows $4.
A gain of $4 in weekly earnings, January to July, using the source that's on this graph. If I could ask Stephen Moore a question, I'd ask, could you publish the code that produced this graph? How'd you figure this out? I'd be curious to see, because I don't think it's right based on the data that I do have access to. And the other thing I'd ask Stephen Moore is, why do you think the census hasn't released their data right now? Is it because it's not fully reliable yet? They still need to do revisions, check their data, finalize it? Because if so, then it seems like you are producing a report based off of preliminary data that's not even ready to be published yet. And that's exactly what they're accusing the Bureau of Labor Statistics of doing. They're complaining the Bureau of Labor Statistics published a report on data that later had to be revised, and yet they're publishing reports, they're publishing analysis on data that's not even ready to be published. So I'd say, economist Stephen Moore, isn't that really hypocritical of you? Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. Has your inflation-adjusted income increased by $1,100 over the past couple months? I'd be surprised, but let me know in the comments. Thanks for your time.
By the way, I did look it up earlier when we were talking about it. If you want to take the autism test, the one that I was talking about, the eyes, is called REMET, R-M-E-T, Reading the Mind in the Eyes test. Reading the Mind in the Eyes test. It's 36 black and white images, each showing only the eye region of a person's face, and it's multiple choice. And you're supposed to pick the emotion, I guess, or mental or emotional state of the person from their eyes.
You have 10,000 coins. 9,999 coins are fair. One is rigged so that it always lands on heads. You choose a coin at random and flip it 10 times.
I love probability.
Heads all 10 times. The coin is probably ... Pause if you need a second to think about it. You've got these 10,000 coins. One is rigged. You pick one at random. Oh, this one. And you flip 10 heads in a row. Did you pick the rigged coin or a fair coin? This is a good use for Bayes' theorem, which says the probability of A given B is the probability of B given A times the probability of A divided by the probability of B. In our situation, A is the probability that you picked a fair coin, 9,999 out of 10,000.
What do you think it is? Is it more probable that you picked a rigged coin? So there's 10,000 coins, or 9,999 legit coins, and there's one rigged coin. You pick a random coin and you flip heads 10 times in a row. Is it more likely that you picked the one rigged coin that always lands on heads, or that you picked a fair coin and just happened to flip heads 10 times? Fair coin or rigged coin?
Awesome. And B is the probability that you flip the coin 10 times and get 10 heads in a row. What's the probability of flipping 10 heads in a row? Well, the chance that you flip heads one time is 1/2. Maybe heads, maybe tails. And when we're discussing probabilities, if you want to and probabilities together, you multiply probabilities. So what is the probability of flipping heads and another heads? Well, that's 1/2 times 1/2. We're anding two things together, heads and heads, so we're multiplying the probabilities. 1/2 times 1/2 is 2 heads in a row. And we want 10 heads in a row. So that's 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times, and so on, all the way up to 10 in a row, or 1/2 to the 10th power. And 1/2 to the 10th power is the same as 1/2 to the 10th power, or 1/1024. Now we know enough to plug numbers into Bayes' theorem. What is the probability we picked the fair coin, 9,999 out of 10,000, given that we flipped 10 heads in a row, 1/1024? Well, that's equal to probability of B given A, the probability that we flipped 10 heads in a row, given that we picked a fair coin, 1/1024, times the probability of A, the probability that we picked a fair coin. That's 9,999 out of 10,000. And then we divide that quantity by the probability of B. B is the probability that we flipped 10 heads in a row. So that's the probability that we picked a fair coin and then flipped 10 heads in a row, 1/1024. Or, earlier I said when you're anding probabilities, you multiply them. When you're oring two probabilities, you picked a fair coin and flipped 10 heads in a row, or you picked the rigged coin. When you're oring two probabilities, you add them. So the probability of flipping 10 heads in a row, given that you picked the rigged coin, that's the probability of picking a rigged coin, 1 in 10,000, and the rigged coin always flips heads. So that's just the probability of picking the rigged coin. So we divide this quantity up top by this quantity on the bottom to get this, to see that there's a 91% chance that we picked a fair coin, given that we picked one coin from 10,000 coins, one of which was rigged, and we flipped 10 heads in a row.
That's very counterintuitive, right? Like if you had all these coins and you picked one randomly and you flipped 10 heads in a row, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I picked the rigged fucking coin, right? It landed on heads 10 times. But it's actually a 91% chance that you picked a fair coin and just happened to flip heads 10 times.
Well, check this. I wrote a quick simulation. I've got my 10,000 coins up here. A coin in this simulation is just a number representing the probability that that coin will flip heads. So we've got 1, 1, and 9,999.5s. And then I'm going to pick a random coin and flip it 10 times.
That's why I like probability. It's often very counterintuitive.
And filter out all the times where I did not flip 10 heads in a row. And then I'm going to count the number of times that I used a fair coin to produce a sequence of 10 heads in a row. And so I'm going to run that 1 million times right here. And I see the percentage of times that I got a fair coin and flipped 10 heads in a row was 91%. That's a little bit higher than my mathematically predicted 90.7%. 0.9169. We would want it to be 0.907. So I'll increase the number of trials from 1 million to 10 million, and now it's down to 0.908, so that's getting closer. I'll run 100 million trials, and now it's 0.907, so that's giving me confidence that 1, I wrote the simulation correctly, and 2, I did the math correctly. And so all that makes me think that the coin is probably fair. Basically, you have a 1 in 1,000 chance of flipping 10 heads in a row on a fair coin, and you have a 1 in 10,000 chance of picking a rigged coin. So it's pretty intuitive that you most
I don't know. That's crazy to me.
pick the fair coin. Thanks for your time.
I want to see what this one is. It's about the US dollar.
Tagged me in this post, and somebody else thought about tagging me. The post is just this image with dramatic music that says the US dollar suffers its worst start to a year since 1973. It's the Trump effect, the dollar's worst start to the year in decades. And it's showing us this line, which is the US dollar index. In red is the line for 2025, and the faint gray lines are all the other years since 1986. A lot of people in the comments had problems. Source, trust me, bro. Or notice how the graph has no sources and only goes back to January. And there are some other comments like that. If you need to know the source of a post,
it only goes back to January. Are you fucking retarded? It's the start, the year, how the dollar did that year. Why wouldn't it start in January?
like this, you could just screenshot it and then upload the screenshot to Google search, and you'll get an image search, which will give you the source. In our case, it seems to come from this New York Times article. Here's the graph, the dollar's worst start to the year in decades. And the New York Times says their source is the ICE US Dollar Index. The ICE US Dollar Index represents the strength of the dollar relative to a weighted combination of these other currencies using this formula. So the euro, the yen, the pound, Canadian dollar, Swedish krona, Swiss franc. Now, there's one problem with this. The keen-eyed or European among you may notice that the euro did not exist back to 1986. The ICE website themselves point this out. They say that the USDX has only changed once since 1973. That's when the euro was launched in 1999. So I don't know if it exactly makes sense to use pre-1999 US dollar index. Then they would have been using the individual European currencies and not the euro. So what I did is download the US dollar index through Yahoo Finance, going back to the year 2000. And I created a similar kind of plot. On X, we have the day of the year. How many days into the year are we right now? And then on Y, we have percentage change from the dollar index's starting position at the beginning of that year. And so you can see that the steel blue...
It's done nothing but fall.
2025. And, oh, it's actually not the worst year. Ants, aha! 2017 was just slightly worse than 2025.
Well, who was president in 2017?
Take that, New York Times. And the reason is the New York Times article was published June 30. So they didn't have more recent data. If we restrict our 2025 line to just June 30, then we see that, yeah, we were the worst at that time. So is this post accurate? Yeah, pretty much. This is a very bad start to the year in terms of the US dollar index, in terms of the strength of the US dollar relative to other currencies. A few other comments to point out. We went through a similar size drop in 2021. Relax, bud. No, that's what the graph is showing, that 2025 is worse than all the other years. Bro's using a 50-year graph and blaming the entire thing on Trump, lol. Nope, just Trump's year. And someone else, I forgot to screenshot their comment, they asked if the US dollar index had been trending down. So here we see January 20, it was up actually pretty high. It wasn't trending down before Trump took over. It is, in fact, seemingly a response to Trump. So thanks for your time.
Jesus Christ, people are dumb. Is Destiny live on TikTok?
CNN's Marshall Cohen just published a video that's got hundreds of thousands of views that accuse me of spreading disinformation. It's a video in which I use the words, "To be clear, you should not believe these conspiracy theories." And in it, He accuses me of spreading conspiracy theories. It is the most egregious example of a lack of journalistic standards that I've ever seen. So I reached out immediately as soon as I saw this video, and I said, I'm demanding a retraction and a correction. Well, it's fucking Saturday, and I guess that Marshall Cohen is out doing family shit like I'm trying to do family shit right now. And he's like, fuck it, it's Saturday, so I'm gonna not do my job. Like he did not do his job in fact-checking a video where I say, don't spread disinformation. And he was like, oh, that's a good video for me to accuse a guy of spreading disinformation. When people see someone post about this kind of thing on social media, they're like, you should sue him. If I had all the money in the world, I'd do it. I'd sue him, but I don't. So here's the deal. If a lawyer wants to represent me and sue Marshall Cohen and CNN for spreading defamatory bullshit about me, please, I'm easy to reach. I would love to take this guy to court because it is idiotic for him to put me next to a bunch of fucking white supremacists and anti-fucking Jewish white nationalists and to imply that I am
now I want to see the video.
And using as his source to prove that a video in which I say the words, to be clear, you should not believe these conspiracy theories. This shit is absolutely fucking asinine and egregious. And this fucking guy, Marshall Cohen, should be ashamed of himself, and his editor should really fucking check his work moving forward. And just a note, if you're gonna post defamatory shit on a weekend, you should fucking
oh shit,
because the more time that goes,
yeah, we forgot about Phil. We'll have to do it tomorrow.
And the more pissed off I get because I'm trying to spend time with my fucking family. Marshall Cohen, go fucking
good job, legend.
The fucking disinformation video that you posted, ironically accusing a man saying don't spread disinformation, accusing him of spreading disinformation, and get your shit straight, dude. CNN's Marshall Cohen just published a
So there's a video of him saying, don't believe these conspiracy theories. Here's what's going around. I don't see the original video. Let's go to.
That's got hundreds of thousands of views that accuse.
Is it on CNN or is that Marshall Cohen's own page? Oh, right here, maybe.
Conspiracy theories about the death of Charlie Kirk have been exploding online. Israel will kill him.
The martyr, Charlie Kirk.
There have been more than 2 million distinct posts in the last week on X or Twitter referencing these conspiracy theories. That's according to the data analytics firm Peak Metrics, which said that it's actually twice as many posts as there were after the assassination attempt against Donald Trump last summer. Think about that. Some left-wing figures have been pushing the unhinged theory that Donald Trump himself orchestrated the killing to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Other liberal activists have tried to connect the suspect to far-right white supremacist groups that had been clashing with Charlie Kirk, even though there is mounting evidence that the suspect was upset with Charlie Kirk's conservative ideology. And then on the right, some of Trump's allies like Steve Bannon and Laura Loomer have been pushing the idea that the suspect was part of a terror cell, even though the authorities have said that the suspect acted alone.
It seems like we're being spoon-fed a narrative.
Others on the right have been leaning hard into anti-Semitic tropes and are blaming Israel.
I heard that Charlie Kirk was afraid Israel was going to kill him.
Threats were made.
These theories are insane, but the disinformation expert I spoke to said they don't really alone.
It seems like
and are blaming Israel acted alone.
It seems like we're being spoon-fed a narrative.
Others on the right have been leaning hard into anti-Semitic tropes and are blaming Israel.
I heard that Charlie Kirk was afraid Israel was going to kill him.
Threats were made.
These theories are insane, but the disinformation expert I spoke to said they don't really need to make any sense because on the internet, the incentives are totally backwards. The podcasters, influencers, and grifters that have been promoting these conspiracy theories need to churn out take after take. The more inflammatory, the better, so that they can gain more followers, build subscribers, and keep the money flowing.
I didn't even see his video in it. Did I miss it?
Conspiracy theories about the...
Did you guys see this guy, Christopher Goldsmith?
death of Charlie Kirk have been exploding online.
Israel will kill him.
The martyr, Charlie Kirk.
There have been more than 2 million distinct posts in the last week on X or Twitter referencing these conspiracy theories. That's according to the data analytics firm Peak Metrics, which said that it's actually twice as many posts as there were after the assassination attempt against Donald Trump last summer. Think about that. Some left-wing figures have been pushing the unhinged theory that Donald Trump himself orchestrated the killing to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Other liberal activists have tried to connect the suspect to far-right white supremacist groups that have been clashing with Charlie Kirk, even though there is mounting evidence that the suspect was upset with Charlie Kirk's conservative ideology. And then on the right, some of Trump...
Yeah, I don't even see his video.
...and Laura Loomer have been pushing the idea that the suspect was part of a terror cell, even though the authorities have said that the suspect acted alone.
It seems like we're being spoon-fed a narrative.
Others on the right have been...
Maybe they edited it and pulled it down or something.
Blaming Israel.
And re-uploaded it.
That Charlie Kirk was afraid Israel was going to kill him.
Threats were made.
These theories are insane, but the disinformation expert I spoke to said they don't really need to make any sense because on the internet, the incentives are totally backwards. The podcasters, influencers, and grifters that have been promoting these conspiracy theories need to churn out take after take. The more inflammatory, the better, so that they can gain more followers, build subscribers, and keep the money flowing.
That's how it works. That's the online economy. Yeah, I didn't even see his video, but I guess.
CNN's Marshall Cohen just published a video that's got hundreds of thousands of views that accuse me of spreading disinformation.
Oh, yeah, he was at the very front of it. It looks like it's been edited now.
Conspiracy theories about the death of Charlie Kirk have been exploding online.
Israel will kill him.
It was before that guy. If you see it up in the top corner.
CNN's Marshall Cohen just published a video that's got hundreds of thousands of views that accuse me of spreading disinformation.
Then it's that guy.
Kill him.
The martyr.
Israel will kill him.
So they edited him out of it, apparently.
Kill him.
The martyr.
Exploding online.
Israel will kill him. Kill him.
The martyr.
Exploding online.
Israel will kill him.
Have been exploding online.
I feel like there's a
exploding online.
I feel like there's a flash of an image there I'm not catching. Hold on.
Online.
I can't. Can I slow it down even more? This thing is broken sometimes. Let me refresh it.
Conspiracy theories about the death of Charlie Kirk have been exploding online.
Israel is
Maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, I guess I'm crazy. I thought there was an image of him in between those two cuts, but it doesn't seem that way. So I guess he got what he wanted. They pulled it down. The video was so terrible. I'm glad that so many of us called him out for it. May a lawyer step. I quit watching CNN 20 years ago. Keep spreading this story.
Imagine waking up to find out that your own president just branded you as a terrorist. Not because you hurt anyone, not because you broke the law, but because you believe that fascism has no place here in the United States. That's what happened to me yesterday. And if you believe in democracy, free speech, or equal rights, that's going to happen to you. My name is Chris Goldsmith. I'm an American combat veteran, former U.S. Army Sergeant, and I run Veterans Fighting Fascism and Task Force Butler Institute. And today, because I call myself an anti-fascist, Donald Trump wants you to believe that I am a terrorist. At 1:30 in the morning yesterday, when he was on an official state visit to the UK, Trump tweeted on Temu Twitter, Truth Social, that he intends to formally designate...
There are a lot of people spreading that the reason the text messages seem so fucking weird is that he was trying to clear up his girlfriend or whatever. Like, oh, you know, some of the weird things in the text messages, like he says, drop point and my vehicle and some weird language. It doesn't sound like a 22-year-old, but the first thing he says is, I thought I was going to take this secret to my grave, but I'm going to tell you now. Why? The police had no clue who he was. It seems like he would meet her in person long before the police ever questioned her. What is this? Why this sudden narrative that I was going to take this to my grave, but I'm just going to tell you right now exactly how I did it, why I did it, how I acted alone, how you had no idea about it ever. It seems weird, but it is what it is. People are weird.
Antifa as a terrorist organization. Let's be clear, there is no one Antifa organization. Anti-fascism is a movement, an idea, a commitment to standing against authoritarianism. And right now, this administration is trying to turn that into a crime. Why now? The assassination of Charlie Kirk has been weaponized to escalate their crackdown on dissent. Kirk's death was tragic, but instead of unity, this administration is exploiting grief and fear as a pretext for repression. Days ago, J.D. Vance turned Kirk's partisan political podcast into state-sponsored media, broadcasting from the White House. And he and Stephen Miller pledged retribution against the left, Democrats, progressives, and against civil society. Then, ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel's show after getting threats from Trump's FCC. These aren't coincidences. They're steps in the authoritarian playbook. And powerful institutions are already folding. Around the world, authoritarian leaders label their opposition as terrorists and traitors. Mussolini, Pinochet. And we have a history of this in the US too. Senator McCarthy is infamous for smearing all of his political opponents as communists. And after 9/11, the war on terror casts entire communities as suspect. And that's what we're seeing right now. Antifa is just the new label for anyone who opposes Trumpism. Teachers, journalists, LGBTQ activists, librarians, veterans like me, all can be swept up into this category where Antifa becomes synonymous with terrorist. And once you're marked, the normal protections of law no longer apply. My work and the work of veterans fighting fascism.
Merbird gifted BugJude53 a subscription. Merbird gifted a tier 1 sub to BugJude53. They have given 39 gift subs in the channel.
Congratulations, Bug Dude. Why am I gifting my own subs?
Is about preventing violence, not causing it. We partnered with law enforcement, prosecutors, and community organizations so that we can track fascist groups, stop hate crimes, and support victims. Meanwhile, Trump has completely gutted federal prevention programs. DHS's CP3 lost its director, its staff, and has been decimated. The old director, William Braniff, an Army veteran, resigned in protest, and leadership was given to a 22-year-old named Thomas Fugate, a Doge-related.
His dad thought the picture looked like him, and then when the rifle came out, he knew exactly. He even asked him for fucking pictures of the. Grandpa wants to know where the rifle is. Take a picture of it now.
Staffer, with the sole purpose of destroying the organization. Again, that is at the Department of Homeland Security and responsible for working with communities that need protection from political violence. As Bill Braniff warned, we had built the system to prevent violence before it started, and that's been dismantled overnight. That's not safety, it's sabotage. And people like my friend Nina Jankowicz, they were harassed out of public service before Trump even got back into power. And all that she was doing was trying to protect Americans from harmful disinformation. Darren Beattie, a white supremacist now in the State Department, uses his office to punish those who expose disinformation. He's targeted me personally in the past. The Trump administration punishes defenders of democracy and rewards people who attack it. Just look at how Trump has treated political violence since January. On his first day back, he pardoned nearly 1,600 January 6 defendants, including many who assaulted police officers on video. And he called them hostages while they were locked up. Trump demanded military honors for Ashley Babbitt, the veteran who died trying to break deeper into the Capitol on January 6th. He praised her as a martyr. And after Kirk's killing, he told reporters, quote, "We have to beat the hell out of radical left lunatics." Donald Trump knows the power of his words. He knows that that is incitement. The message is clear. Commit violence on behalf of Trump and you're celebrated. Resist Trump and you're branded as a terrorist. Ordinary citizens are paying the price for this. Harassment, doxing, firings. Institutions are silencing critics before they even speak. This is authoritarianism, not just punishing dissent, but creating fear so that people silence themselves. But anti-fascism isn't some foreign idea. It's core to America's identity. The men in my family from my grandfather's generation, they fought Nazis and fascists in Germany and Italy. I fought in Iraq. And Veterans Fighting Fascism carries that tradition forward here at home. That's why we launched the Anti-Fascist Book Club. It's more than reading. It's about building resilient communities, which are rooted in solidarity and action. Small, independent groups can defend democracy, just as they always have. I proudly wear the Antifa label. And if you're in a position to do the same, you should claim it too. The more of us who stand together...
Everybody should be anti-fascist.
Veterans Fighting Fascism is also...
I don't understand that.
...new merch that symbolizes the spirit of standing up to authoritarianism, no matter the risk. Trump wants you to believe that anti-fascism is terrorism. The truth is that anti-fascism is patriotism. It's the legacy of the greatest generation. The tradition of every American who faced down tyranny. Anti-fascism isn't a threat to America, it is America at its best. I refuse to be silenced, and I hope you'll stand with me. Make sure that you're subscribed to On Offense, start an anti-fascist book club, support Veterans Fighting Fascism, and above all, don't let them scare you into silence. Visit veteransfightingfascism.org to learn more about how to start your own anti-fascist book club. Imagine waking up to find out that your own president just branded you as a terrorist.
Just say, I don't know why the fuck you're beating around the bush. You don't think that he carried the rifle and put it in the woods? You don't think that he changed clothes? I don't know what the weird.
Imagine waking up to find...
I don't believe it. And then someone has to drag the next part out of you. I don't believe this. What about that? Drag it out of you. Holy fuck. This was a report that came out 2 days ago, pretty quietly. It came out on the 20th. Yeah, 1 day ago. Federal investigation in the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk has yet to find a link between the alleged shooter, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, and any left-wing official groups on which President Donald Trump and his administration have pledged to crack down on after the killing. 3 sources familiar with the probe told NBC News. One person familiar with the investigation said that thus far, there's no evidence connecting the suspect with any left-wing groups. Every indication so far is that this was one guy who did one really bad thing because he found Kirk's ideology personally offensive. This person continued. In addition, 2 of the people familiar with the probe said it might be difficult to charge Robinson at the federal level, which is what they want. They want to do this. They want to handle this for Kirk's killing. While a 3rd source said there is still an expectation that maybe some type of federal charge is filed against Robinson. Factors that complicate the effort to bring charges at a federal level include he didn't cross state lines. He was a Utah resident in Utah, didn't travel from out of state. Kirk was shot during an open campus debate at Utah Valley University. Additionally, Kirk himself is not any type of federal officer or elected official. A Justice Department spokesman said the investigation is ongoing, and beyond that, we decline to comment. Robinson currently faces state charges, which were announced on Tuesday. He's being charged with aggravated murder and obstruction of justice, among others. And Utah prosecutors are seeking the death penalty in the case. Prosecutors said Robinson targeted Kirk, the co-founder of the conservative political group Turning Point USA, during a September 10th event because of his political expression. His mother told investigators in part that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left. Thomas Brzezowski, who was until recently the Justice Department's counsel for domestic terrorism, told NBC News that while Kirk's assassination appears to meet the definition of domestic terrorism, finding a federal charge to bring against the shooter might be a challenge. There's no federal law that makes acts of domestic terrorism standalone crimes, although prosecutors can seek an enhancement after a conviction. The FBI is frequently involved in domestic terrorism investigations, but those ultimately usually result in only state-level charges. As is always the case, the FBI needs a federal hook to initiate an investigation. Here it appears they're acting in assistance to the state, to state authorities' capacity. Charging documents filed Tuesday also contain a series of texts between Robinson and a roommate. In the text, there is a ton of ellipses. Like, they're not giving everything out, which maybe, obviously, they're not giving everything out. That's part of the investigation, as part of the case, but there's ellipses all over the place. I would be interested to see what these ellipses. Another thing that was brought up is if he's close with this person, why did he have to tell the person, like, oh, my dad's been super MAGA ever since Trump got elected? Wouldn't they know that? If anything is going on with the text at all, the text exchange at all, I think what it will probably be is the roommate did know they were planning this, but they wanted an out to say, you look, if the cops come to you, maybe they already discussed this. If the cops come to you, I'm going to claim that you didn't have anything to do with this. You didn't know anything. Just answer their questions, cooperate, whatever. And I'll send a text that says that you didn't know anything about it. Because it seems very I'm going to take this with me to the grave, but I've just decided to give you a full confession with how I did it, why I did it, where the gun was, how they caught me, what I've been doing since then. Like, it just seems weird. The text seemed way too over the top. But if you look at it from a point of view of like, maybe this other person that he's texting did know about it, but they don't want them to be in trouble. Well, then here you go. Here's all the exonerating evidence they need. It just seems strange, but people are weird. People are strange. If you like, when I bring up the fact that like, why is he admitting to everything in a text message? How many cases have we seen where fucking rappers admit to everything in a rap song, or someone texts and admits to everything in text? And it's like, I know you'll never share this. And that person immediately goes to the cops, kind of deal. So there you go. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. That's it for tonight. It's after 1 a.m. here. I got some stuff to download and wrap up on the computer, and then I'm going to go home and get some rest. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. If you want to support the show, do it at buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer, buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer, where you can support the show and help pay the bills around here. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. Listen to me rant. I'll see you around the next one. Legend, you're supposed to remember where we parked. You're not doing a very good job. I don't know. Probably going to have to make a cut and pay there or something. Thank you all for joining us. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you on the next one. You live in a world that you've made up yourself. I have no fucking idea.
To see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly.
I asked you to specifically state what you had an issue with instead of someone having to ask you for more and more and more. I don't like it. What don't you like? I don't like this. What about this? Like, they had to dig it out of you. Just fucking say, I don't think this happened. I don't think he had the gun. I don't think he put the gun in the woods. I don't think the towel covered the gun. And then you're like, see, don't act like I'm crazy. I just asked you to fucking lay it out there. Then you said you were done with it. Cool.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6 cents for the.
Oh, did I tell you guys that Ann Gallagher left Bert? I don't know if that's news or not, but Ann Gallagher left Bert. She's done with him, is what she says.
Swinging fucking meat hammers like Thor in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
I run my chat like North Korea. You should like it here.
Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped him to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, this is gonna be it. Whoa, wait. Stop. What? What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a. Oh my god. Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set.
Have a good night.
Buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying